The old highway unfurled before me like a forgotten memory, stretching endlessly into the dusk. It wasn't on my GPS, but the cracked, faded sign reading Old Route 66 seemed to almost dare me to take it. My foot hesitated on the brake. I should have stuck to the main road, but something about this deserted path called to me, like a whisper you're not quite sure you heard. What was it about this road that made it impossible to resist? The deeper I drove, the more the world around me seemed to shift. The sun, once golden and warm, bled into a bruised sky of purples and grays. Shadows lengthened unnaturally, clawing at the asphalt as if trying to pull me back. The radio fizzled into static, so I turned it off, leaving only the sound of my tires crunching over loose gravel. It felt like the road was leading me somewhere I wasn't sure I wanted to go. What the hell am I doing here? I muttered to myself, glancing in the rearview mirror. But the reflection that stared back wasn't comforting. The dim light played tricks on my eyes, and for a split second, I swore I saw movement in the back seat. My heart pounded as I twisted around, but of course nothing was there, just empty seats. Or were they? I shook it off and kept driving, but the unease only grew. The road was winding now, its edges crumbling into the encroaching desert. A sense of isolation tightened around me like a noose. I hadn't seen another car in hours. No houses, no signs of life. Just this endless stretch of decaying pavement leading me deeper into nowhere. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of something. Just a flicker in the distance, like a shadow that wasn't supposed to be there. My hands gripped the steering wheel tighter. What was that? A trick of the light? Or something more? My stomach churned with a mix of fear and curiosity. Finally, I came upon it, the ghost town. The remnants of what must have once been a bustling community now stood abandoned and crumbling. Broken windows stared out like empty eye sockets from the skeletal remains of buildings. An old gas station, its pumps rusted and broken, sat eerily at the edge of the road. I pulled over, despite every instinct screaming at me to keep going. Why was I stopping? Why was I getting out of the car? I stepped onto the cracked pavement, the sound echoing unnaturally loud in the stillness. The air was thick, almost suffocating, with a scent that I couldn't quite place. Something old, something decayed. The hairs on the back of my neck prickled. I was being watched. I could feel it, but by whom? Or by what? I walked down the main street, if you could still call it that. Dust covered everything in a fine layer, undisturbed for God knows how long. But as I passed a long-abandoned diner, the door creaked open. Just a gust of wind? Or something else? I peered inside, half expecting to see something, anything, move in the shadows. The counter was still lined with cracked stools, an old jukebox leaning in the corner. A layer of grime coated the floor, but in the middle of it was a set of footprints, fresh footprints leading deeper into the building. My breath caught in my throat. Who had been here? And where did they go? Hello? I called out, my voice trembling, but the words seemed to vanish in the stale air, swallowed up by the silence. I was about to turn back, but something made me keep going. Maybe it was that damn curiosity, or maybe something darker pulling at me. The footprints led to the back of the diner, where a door hung slightly ajar. Beyond it was a stairway leading down into the darkness. My heart pounded louder, each beat thudding in my ears. Every rational part of me screamed to get back in the car and drive away, but my legs moved of their own accord, taking me down the stairs. The air grew colder with each step, until I was shivering, my breath coming out in visible puffs. At the bottom, I found myself in a basement, dimly lit by a single flickering bulb, and then I saw it, a figure, hunched over in the corner. My mouth went dry. Who's there? My voice barely made it out. The figure didn't move at first, but then it slowly turned towards me, revealing a face that was both familiar and horrifyingly wrong. It was like looking in a distorted mirror. I stumbled back, my mind reeling. What was this thing? And why did it look like me? I turned and bolted up the stairs, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. The town blurred around me as I ran to my car, the figure's presence still pressing down on me, suffocating me. I fumbled with the keys, finally jamming them into the ignition and peeling out of the ghost town as fast as I could. As the old highway stretched out before me again, I didn't dare look back, but I could feel it. I could feel the weight of that town, that figure pulling at me, begging me to return. Even now, I can't shake the feeling that I left something behind on that cursed road.